Tarkir Dragonstorm is right around the corner. Yes, it's 90 days away, but really that's going to be fast approaching, and a lot of players are looking forward to the set. And the hype train for this one is actually starting to build. In today's video, we're going to talk about Tarkir Dragonstorm and some of the possibilities that players need to consider before they start spending all their money on something we know nothing about. Right now, I like to think of Tarkir Dragonstorm as a movie. It's a movie that hasn't been made yet. We just kind of know some of the main characters that have been attached to it. We know the director and we know the release date, and we're waiting for those previews to see if this is going to be something we want to dive into. But a lot of you seem to have already made up your mind. Welcome back, everyone. MTG Moxman here, and thank you again for hanging out with me on my channel today. Now, yes, it has been 10 years since we went back to Tarkir. Can you believe that? We had the Khans of Tarkir, then we had Fate Reforged, then the Dragons of Tarkir, and now we're going all the way back. Although I guess we had a few mentions in the Phyrexian War, but this is our first time really going back in a decade. And that's hard to believe, because I still feel like it was just yesterday that I was at that pre-release. Now, here's where things are going to be interesting. Aether Drift, for no matter what intent and purpose players have behind it, good, bad, bold, ugly, some people like it, some people don't. Their reactions are very visceral on either side. I love the Hot Wheels theme. I hate the Hot Wheels theme. And for the people who hate it, they're looking into the future. They're looking at the next set, and that's going to be Tarkir. And a lot of players have a very nostalgic attachment to a world like this, just like we've seen in the past with sets like Kamigawa. And of course, going to things like Lorwyn and Shadowmoor, players are dying to go back to these places. And it won't come soon enough for many of us. So Tarkir, lots of dragons. Now, as far as we know, we've seen a couple images with like Ugin and like Sark and Vol and stuff, and that's all we've really got. Okay, and we know the basic storyline where like these dragons are born from the storm. So why are people so hungry to set down their money? Why are so many people willing to dive in and start cramming cards into their collections? Now, when you look back at this set, most of us are going to remember fondly the fetch lands. Okay, the fetch lands appearing inside and being able to get 6 in a box blew our minds. First time we'd seen it since what, way back in the day of Onslaught and stuff, being able to get these things inside of a standard set. Now, do we think they're going to be in there? Well, I may have gotten a random email that makes no sense saying that they are going to be there, but as like a special thing. So don't be too surprised. That's no guarantee, of course. I can't verify it. The set hasn't come out yet. But maybe somebody's mentioning that seems like it's going to happen. Okay? Now, if it doesn't happen, well, this person was wrong and I'll blackball them. But if they're right, you're like, oh. So, what are we talking about? The idea of getting fetch lands inside of a standard set blows our minds. But getting them inside of a specialty slot or a box topper card, it's not nearly as cool as having them back in standard play. But for that kind of nostalgic feel, you want to kind of pull on the heartstring a bit, it'll be pretty cool to see it come around again for many of us. It really will. When you look at the dragons themselves, there's a lot of possibilities and build cycles that will work with that in the current standard meta, as well as in commander decks. A lot of people are looking forward to it. I've already done a couple of videos about the top 5 dragons you should be buying, and you can look at those videos in my section of videos. You'll find them all there. And there's a lot of good cards there that are going to be coming up. But a lot of players are concerned, of course, that all of a sudden we're going to have dragons reprinted in these commander decks. Why should I buy all 5 of these cards? Why should I do this? They're coming around again. And yes, that makes perfect sense. We don't know what the set's going to be. Yet the anticipation for this set is already at your waist. It's like a flood coming in. And that's because it was supposed to go over there to Aether Drift. And it's not. So it's kind of pooling over here. And the momentum is building. It's building into something where players are already asking me if I've got the pre-release pricing from stores yet. And I'm like, no, I got nothing yet. Nothing. Everyone's still looking at Aether Drift. Nothing's going up yet. We've still got about another 30 days, I think, before some of that stuff will really start to appear. But for players who are interested in buying these things, you're going to find it soon enough. Because some store is going to put these prices up. And a little bit more of the story will get leaked somewhere. Wizards is a master at marketing these things. Even the idea of having fetch lands back inside the set will drive some players insane, even if it's only a specialty slot, like we've seen in things like Zendikar, right? I think we did it on the original Zendikar, right? We had like Misty Rainforest and stuff. Seeing those things in Zendikar, there you go, not Onslaught, Zendikar. I caught up with the pace of my video. When you look at those cards and having them back around again, and back in Zendikar, we had those priceless treasures and stuff. Well, going back to Tarkir 10 years later, it makes perfect sense to put fetch lands in there somewhere. Okay, it really does. And I think a lot of players who've been around the block for a while will really appreciate it. And the way Wizards of the Coast is going with fancy foils, well, that can make a lot more sense than you may have believed, because we have like the Zendikar expeditions and stuff and some crazy fancy full art lands already, but they're going to take it a step further. You wait and see. Now, here's where things are going to go away in this conversation. I don't really want to tell you, but I'm going to tell you anyway. Collector boxes. We know the print runs are lower. We've seen it happening now. Even some of my main big stores are running out of some of these things. They are being bought up and cycled out, and there's no real restocks coming. So if you are interested in a collector box at some point, I'm not sure I would wait for a full, I hate saying this, I don't believe you should wait for a full pre-release cycle to appear, because they may not be available at the price that you can purchase them, in the pre-order pricing. It may be a little bit cheaper. And I know a lot of stores will honor it, but with the way pricing has been going and the stores, the LGS, is having to shoulder the burden of carrying those costs, you can't expect them to do that. You can't say, oh, I need them to order 50 boxes because I want 4. Now that I know the set is great. They're not going to do that. If you didn't put your money down, they're not ordering it. Or if they're ordering it, they're going to jack up the price a bit as kind of like a tax for waiting at the same time, probably because there's cool cards in there. Remember, Tarkir in 2014 is an entirely different place than where we are in 2025 with power creep and how some of these creatures are going to look. Yes, there'll be some generic dragons. There'll be some just regular guys and girls out there saying, yeah, it's an okay dragon. This is an okay one. I kind of like this. But there'll be a whole bunch of other people out there saying, look at that thing. That's like a dragon god monster thing. That's crazy. There will be some. And of all the people playing this game right now, there are going to be some crazy dragons in this set. I feel it. I know it. It makes sense. Because if they build up some value into these dragons for future premium products, it will make sense. Which again makes me believe that some of these collector boxes, especially from smaller stores, are going to sell out really quick. I don't think the Aether Drift ones will. That's just my personal opinion from what I've seen so far with pre-order pricing. But when it comes to the dragons and where I see people wanting to spend money, I'm thinking it might be a little bit of a shortfall. Not the play booster boxes. I'm only talking about the collector boxes, which makes it feel weird to me because I haven't bought collector boxes in years. But when I have a few store comments saying it's going to be what it's going to be, and some of the stuff has been selling out, like Bloomborough, Outlaws of Thunder Junction, a couple stores completely sold out now. There's enough disappearing from the shelf that I'm just mentioning it as an aside in case you're thinking that and it's a smaller store, you may not have the chance to buy it later. Does that make sense? I hope that makes sense. Now, here at the end, let's not forget that Wizard of the Coast is monitoring their collector boxes. They're trying to find that sweet spot. They don't want to leave money on the table. They don't want to leave it for the secondary market. And I guarantee somewhere behind the scenes, they are counting the beads and they are slowly stacking it. So if they said, oh, I'm just, as an example, a random number, 50,000 collector boxes, and they say, wow, 50,000, it sold out so quickly, we have nothing left. Let's go to 55. 55,000, oh my, it sold out right away. We have none left. Let's go to 65. They will find the sweet spot again. They will. So don't think it's going to be like super impossible. As the years go by, if the sales keep ramping up like this, with all these fancy new artworks and stuff, they're going to meet that demand. Just a little bit slower, a little bit more cautiously, and no Cynthia Williams throwing things under the bus. Okay, keep an eye out for that stuff. I want to see what you guys think. Drop some comments, drop some stuff down in the comment section. Let me know where you guys are at. I think it's very interesting to see where we're going, and the level of interest is really high because I have multiple emails now kind of asking questions, and there is lore channels out there that will cover a lot of this stuff. I only have a few tidbits here and there, and of course what I've read and what I experienced when I was there, because back in the day, good old Tarkir used to have like the fat pack boxes, and they had the storybook inside, giving you like a short story thing. And for all I know, this has got 6 fetch lands in it right now. You never know. I think the low was 3. The high was like 7. I think I only ever pulled 6 was the max I pulled. It's pretty crazy back then. Guys, thanks a lot for hanging out with me today. Thanks for stopping by my channel. Where do you stand on Tarkir Dragonstorm? On an interest level of 0, meaning you don't care, and 10 being I've got to have multiple boxes. Where do you fit? Drop a comment. Guys, have a great day. Hey guys, a big shout out and thank you to the fantastic patrons of my channel. Did you know? Did you know? You knew it was you, right? You see these names. They're the patrons of the channel. The ones who make it happen each and every day. Without these people here helping out, we would be lost in the void of YouTube, wondering what to do next. But because of them, daily uploaded content is made possible for everybody. So thanks again for supporting my channel. All right, anyone who's not supposed to be here, get out. Go. You didn't clean your room. Don't look at your parents. Look at me. I'm on the computer screen looking at you. Go clean your room. If you haven't done your homework, do it. If you don't have homework, find some. Become a better human being than what I am. Listen to your parents. Just not so much that it looks like you're, being overly nice. Just enough like make your parents feel like you're... Anyway, beside the point. Go do what you're supposed to do. Now, those of you who have a backstage pass, yes, I have some coffee. It's not nearly enough, but that's okay. If we have fetch lands show up inside of Tarkir, doesn't it stand to reason then, if we got the fetch lands coming, that we don't probably have space to put really high-end dragons as special guests like the ancient dragons? Doesn't it look like those could be dragged out to another set like Final Fantasy, which has dragons in it? Just saying. I'm just saying. Don't they have like a dragon god king guy thing? Baymut or something? I'm just thinking maybe things aren't going to lay out the way I thought they were. Maybe the paving stones to the yellow brick road are a little bit off-centered. Maybe we're getting a few crazy things because going back to Tarkir, it makes sense to get the fetch lands. Maybe not as the go-tos, but as a special guest, maybe one per box. Kind of like how they did for Zendikar Rising. That could be something, right? They could get away with that and not really devalue the cards, and they could probably go another 2 years not printing them to allow them for like Modern Horizons later on. I like this. I like the idea of this. Cheers to us. This game's awesome. And yes, I know many of you guys are not looking at Aether Drift, and you're all looking at Dragonstorm, Final Fantasy, and even Marvel. What did I step on? Oh, it's just an empty wrapper. I'll clean it up later. Don't worry. Yeah, I know. You don't have to tell me again. I know! Never enough coffee. Guys, have a great day today. And you know why? Because you deserve it.